What's up, guys? Tony Rican here from La Criolla, and I'm with the very awesome Vincent Lim. You guys might know him. He was a master chef, snack master, restaurateur at what, 22? And an awesome book, The Wolf of Wok Street. How
Awesome.
you doing today?
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no problem at all. Thanks for being here. Guys, if you haven't checked him out, I'm going to start this with you really need to check him out. I was going through his stuff, and oh my God, there's so much good-looking food. And
Thank you.
But I want to ask, like, so as I was going through your things, I saw that cooking is very familial and generational for you. So what was that like learning from?
Yeah, I actually learned cooking from my dad. I started when I was 8 years old. I started cooking at 8 years old in the restaurant, learning how to use a wok. At 13, I was able to cook professionally. So that was at 13 years old was when my dad let me use the wok and serve customers with it.
So that's when, like, so your dad at 13 said, like, this is it, you got it.
That's
like
right.
He was. So that had to be like a moment, like a proud moment. Like, man, my dad is okay with what I'm doing.
Yeah. I think at that stage I was okay enough to serve customers, but only certain dishes. You know,
Okay.
Not every single dish I was allowed to do. The first dish I ever learned was to cook fried rice. You know, my dad always told me that fried rice is the easiest dish to cook, but the hardest dish to get right. So that's one of those things where I practice till I got it right.
So, and I mean, what was that like learning at your dad's side, like in the professional environment, in a restaurant? What was that like working with him?
Oh, look, honestly, it was tough, man. We owned a little takeaway shop, and everyone thinks, because now I'm on social media, everyone thinks we had this grand restaurant that seats like 1,000 people, but that wasn't the case. Our restaurant could sit 6 people. It was a takeaway shop where people come in, they come out, and it was struggling, So we were trying our best to keep it busy, keep it within the family, and just push out as much dishes ourselves and at the highest quality possible.
So even though it was difficult, or like you said, it's a small family shop, and you're doing everything you can to save $1, keep things going. What was the best memory of working there?
The best memory, oh man, I gotta say, it was, at the time, I would say it was probably the worst memories because we were going there every day after school, right? And, but now looking back, man, I really appreciate those times, spending time with your family. My brother was there half the times as well, playing on the Nintendo DS. Probably kids don't know what that is these days, on the Game Boy Color at the time. Like those were the best memories because, they were so real. And, spending time there, being able to cook with my family and just, spending time together as a family was a really good time.
So for you, learning to cook, being in that professional environment, what was that turning point that told you this is something you've got and that you're always going to do? Not just because I understand that you were there doing the family thing, but when did it become your thing? When was that moment?
I'll be real with you. I think the first time it really clicked to me that I really wanted to be a chef was not when I was a chef, not when I was a restaurant owner, but after I opened the restaurant at 23 years old, I was like, should I be a chef for the rest of my life? And one day I woke up and I'm like, this is something that I'm good at. This is something that I really appreciate. I love the culture. And I decided that from that day on, I was going to be a chef.
So that brings me to two questions. I got two questions there. So one, being a young restaurateur, starting that young and really getting it going, what is one lie or fable that people believe about starting a restaurant that you can definitively say is not true?
Look, I think the glamour of it all is definitely one of those things where people walk into a restaurant, they look at it, it looks so beautiful, so pretty, right? And the dishes are amazing, everyone's well dressed, but there is a part of owning a restaurant where it's, you don't see the back end of it, right? It's always chaos. We've worked in restaurants and, there's days where we just don't have certain things or people don't feel 100%. But out front, it's still so beautiful and everybody expects a good time, right? So from the kitchen, even though we're having a bad day, we have to deliver a good time. That's the hardest part to owning a restaurant.
So, and then the other thing because you were talking about culture, what it is like having, because you're obviously, you have the Chinese restaurant in Australia.
Yeah.
So what is that mixture of cultures? Do you have to do anything different because of where you are to make your culture a little bit more acceptable? Or do you say, this is it?
Yeah, definitely. I think no matter what business you're in, especially food business, we always have to cater to our demographic, right? Like you can't be cooking mainland Chinese food to cater to a Western audience, right? We have to tweak certain things. For example, our sweet and sour pork. in China, it's probably a little bit more sour.
Mhm.
People like that little tartness, but in Western cultures, we like it a little bit sweeter. Hence the name sweet and
And
sour, right? Not sour and sweet. So these are little things that we have to tweak and adjust for our audience.
Okay. And so along those same lines, like, and I know in a lot of cultures, especially old world cultures, like,
Yeah.
like these, my family's Puerto Rican and
Mhm.
Italian. So in these old world cultures, food is very bring together. It brings the whole family together, whether it be like in your case, you were doing it in a restaurant, but how about home? What is cooking like at home for you?
Cooking at home actually is completely different. We cook all different types of food. Sometimes, I mean, we do try to cook Puerto Rican food. I don't know how close it is, but we try Italian sometimes. I come from a restaurant background where I've also worked in Western cuisine,
Mhm.
and I've made Italian. We've done French. We've done Middle Eastern food. So we try to do a little bit of mix up, have a little bit of different variety at home.
So if you had one favorite cuisine outside of Chinese cuisine, what would that favorite be?
Oh, that's a
Not even to make, just to eat.
yeah.
What is your like go-to comfort? Like I'm just
Mm.
gonna smash this and it's gonna be great. I know it's gonna be great.
I think for me, it's could be between a burger or Thai food. One or the other.
I okay. I love a good burger. If you look at my Instagram, I literally have my burgers. I've had in 2 years, I think 160 unique burgers. So
Yeah.
I'm always down for a good burger. So
Then I think we're
I
gonna be
love
good friends.
that. So let me ask. So I named all those things. You Master Chef,
Yeah.
Snack Masters. So how did all that like? What was that decision to actually try to do that? How did that all come about?
I was on a different TV show in Australia, and then I worked with one of the producers who ended up producing MasterChef. And one day he gives me a call and he's like, "Hey Vince, like, we love what you've been doing. Social medias, you've been killing on social media, and we really want to have you as a judge on MasterChef." So 2 years ago, they gave me a call and they're like, "Hey, would you like to come on for a guest judge episode?" So I hopped onto MasterChef. So MasterChef Australia is actually the original one.
Okay.
So it's the biggest in the world, right? It airs in about 140 countries around the world, and so that's the MasterChef that you want to be on. That's
Right.
why Gordon Ramsay flies out to Australia to be on that one, right? So to go on that, it was such an honor, and being I watched MasterChef when I was a kid, right?
Mhm.
Like I remember seeing it, and when you watch it on TV, you see it from the angle of the audience, and you watch it from the TV when TV were big squares,
Right.
and being in the MasterChef kitchen and looking at the audience is a totally different feeling, man. Like it just you feel a little bit proud because you get to bring Asian culture onto the MasterChef stage where it's predominantly Western
Right.
or French inspired food. So what my episode was, I got to change the whole MasterChef kitchen into a Cantonese restaurant where we turned it all into wok burners and high heat, high pressure, and people panicked, and that's the fun in it. That's the beauty in it, right? And I love that.
So I have to ask about a seasoning.
Yeah,
So I know in America it's gotten kind of a bad name, but tell me, why is MSG so magical? Like why is that the great?
yeah. So I think, okay, there's a there's a certain way that people look at MSG.
Right.
I think less so now,
Right.
right? Because MSG, I think people realize it's in tomatoes, it's in mushrooms, it's in when you order Italian food and the guy's grating Parmesan cheese on top, and you're like, "Hey, please don't stop, please don't stop." That's because Parmesan cheese has a lot of MSG, right? So people want that umami taste.
Right.
And what umami is it's the fifth taste element, right? You can
Mhm.
taste sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and the fifth element is umami. That's the slap in your face, and that's what MSG is. So Chinese food, Japanese food, Thai food, and even I think a lot of Colombian food.
Mhm.
You guys use it too, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
we have a lot of rice dishes too,
That's right.
and
That's
it
right.
goes really well in a rice dish. Like it really
100%.
does.
100%. I was working with a friend in Colombia, and he said on the tables there they've got salt, pepper, and MSG, right? But you don't see that in Western culture,
Right.
and I think it should be.
Oh no, definitely. Like I said, when I was like learning to cook with just doing anything, it's
Mhm.
like even with my burgers. When I make burgers at home, I want that umami flavor. I make a nice mixture of seasonings, and it's a little bit of mushroom umami, different things like
That's
that on
right.
there. So, and that's why I wanted like everybody to hear it from you. Like, why is MSG so magical? Like, why should they not avoid it?
Yeah.
Um, so Wolf of Wok Street,
Yes.
was that fun to write? Was it a like? I mean, what? How did you? what was your process for that? Like, how did you pick what went in there?
The book came about, like the title was chosen before the book was written,
Okay.
right? So it was, in Australia, a lot of the newspapers, TV articles TV shows and stuff like that. When people announce me, they always announce me as the Wolf of Wok Street, and it's a little bit corny, but it's kind of cool, right? Like
It's got a ring to it.
it's got a ring to it. Yeah, exactly. So that's what happened, and then we decided the name of the book a long, long time ago. And when we wrote this book, I wanted it to be about all the recipes that I had done in the past, all the recipes that we were very good at, that we had in a weird way like mastered, right? Like over years of cooking Chinese food, I've had hundreds of chefs work for me. I've worked with probably a few hundred chefs, right? And we've come up with these recipes, and they're almost perfected. Like we know techniques that other restaurants haven't figured out yet. So we put all those things in the book.
Okay.
Mm.
So, and you talk about working with chefs and almost perfecting. So let me ask you, and I find this, a lot of people who are true pros
Mhm.
are constantly learning. Do you find that you're still learning
Oh,
new
100%.
things all the time?
100%. Look, I think there's always a new and smarter way to do something, right? Like I can't say that I know everything
Right.
because I don't. And there's a lot of people that have a lot of different techniques, especially when you're combining cultures now, right? Like you've got French and Chinese food joined together, right? There's a lot of techniques in French cooking where it's very similar to Chinese stuff. And when you combine the two, you realize, oh, there's a different way that people do things, and that's what makes it cool.
So now with learning new ways, is there something that's traditional that no matter what you learn, you're not going to give up that traditional way of doing this one thing?
Yeah, 100%. There's this technique called velveting.
Mhm.
And this is my brand. We've got the Yum Yum Umami seasoning. We've got a blue one that's called meat velvet. And what velveting is, it's an ancient Chinese technique.
Okay.
When you go to a Chinese restaurant, you wonder why the meat is so tender, right? It's this technique called velveting. So what we do is we add, baking soda, cornstarch, and all these seasonings in there to velvet it to make it really tender and absorbs a lot of moisture into the meat.
Okay.
Which Western culture, they don't do as much, right? Or maybe they're starting to do it now. So that's one technique that I will never give up and I will use all the time.
No matter what.
Exactly.
So speaking of the seasonings, so I like you said, you got the umami seasoning.
Yes.
You talked a little bit about umami, and then you said you have the meat velveting
We've got
seasoning.
the meat velvet.
So like, how did the seasoning line come about? Like, is this something that you said, hey, I've got these great seasons. I got this, this great thing that I'm using that everybody else should be using?
Actually, so remember how I mentioned that, like, in my restaurant, we figured out a lot of things, right? And we put into the book. One of those things was actually we realized that the market doesn't have, or when you go to a supermarket, or when people are trying to recreate Asian dishes, they don't have the ingredients for it. So what we did was in the restaurant, we had these seasonings that were sitting on top of a counter. Well, one of them, which was yum yum, right? That we sprinkled onto everything. And it just makes the flavor more aromatic. It makes it more savory, and it brings out the natural flavors of the dish. So that's how Yum Yum came about. And all of our seasoning range is actually things that in the restaurant that we haven't seen on the shelves because we mix it in the restaurants ourselves. And we have these premixes there, and I wanted to bring it to every home.
Just to make it easier to do these great
100%,
flavors.
exactly, yeah.
So, and just knowing umami and like,
yeah,
I'm guessing Yum Yum is great for more than just Asian cooking. That like you could probably use this on a lot of different things and experiment and have a lot of fun with it.
You can use it on fries, you can use it on pizza, you can use it on hamburgers, you can use it on, look, we've tried it on ice cream as well. Maybe not ice cream, but majority of the things that you guys have, like you can put this on there because what this does, it brings out the natural flavors of it. When you're cooking a burger, you add umami seasoning in there. All it does is make it taste more beefy, more burgery, more tomato sauce. Like, you know what I mean? You can just taste it more, and that's what it does.
So with all the cooking and everything that's going on, all the successes, you've gotten to do, obviously, a lot of travel. What is some of the more exciting places you got to travel or things you've gotten to try because of, with everything building, it's all coming from cooking. So what are some of the more exciting things you've gotten to do?
Oh, more exciting things. Our recent trip to Hong Kong was absolutely amazing. They took us to one of the restaurants, which was the #1 Cantonese restaurant in the world.
Okay.
And that place was incredible, man. Like, really made me, because they are 9 hours away from almost any country, right? You
Right.
can get a shrimp from Spain, you can get wagyu from Japan, you can get onions from, I don't know, Mexico, right? And they combine it into these dishes with techniques that they've known for like hundreds of years. And you just think, wow, this is what food can be at. This is the level it can be at. And we introduced them Yum Yum as well, and they liked it
Because they can always have that little room for improvement. Is the yum
That's
yum
right. That's
there,
what I'm
yeah.
saying.
So, what's next for you? Like, what's coming up? Like, you're still very young and you've got a lot going on. What other things do you want to achieve?
Other things I want to achieve is we are currently in the midst of making our own TV show.
Okay.
So I think it'd be really cool to, have our own direction and how we see like what we want to show the world.
Right.
We're doing some things on that end. We're actually bringing Yum Yum to America. So this is going to be a very exciting thing. And that's it. My goal in this life is I want to spread our culture to the world, right? I want people to see a plate of stir fry or see a fried rice like they see a burger, right? I want it to be so internationally known that when they see it, they're like, oh yeah, that's a spring roll,
Right.
Oh, that's a dim sum, right? That they know exactly what it is, and that's what I'm trying to achieve.
And I think like today, food is becoming such a big part of our world.
Exactly.
We're no longer eating just for nutrition.
Mhm.
We're eating to enjoy either time with people or just enjoy the food itself. So I mean, it's really cool that like you're bringing all this and all these things are happening at a time when food is becoming so important. And like I said, it's becoming important for more than just nutrition.
Yeah, that's right.
So we're able to actually enjoy it. And like if you had one piece of advice for a home cook.
One piece of advice for the home cook, besides buy Yum Yum.
Yum Yums, yes.
Look, I think it changes the world, right? When you have seasonings like this at home. One piece of advice is I always believe that you should spend more time with your family eating at the dinner table than cooking.
Okay.
Right? So anything that you can do to speed up that process, whether it's prepping and getting it ready or learning a new technique where you can cook faster, I think is very important. You shouldn't spend 2 hours cooking. That's my belief, right? You shouldn't spend 2 hours cooking and 5 minutes eating.
Right.
Right. I think, in this world right now, we're so busy with so many things, right? Unless, of course, you really enjoy cooking, with your loved ones or you like cooking for them, then a different story. But, for a busy person that's in the kitchen, I believe they should spend more time in the dining with their family than cooking in the kitchen.
And like you said, so I mean, you said your brother's here, and so it's very obvious that you're very family orientated and you like being together. So and it's just really cool to hear this story and hear everything. But that's it. That's all I got. It was really cool getting to know you, getting to hear your story, and thank you for coming out. Thank you for talking with us and telling us a little bit about yourself and about the awesome Yum Yum sauce.
Thank you. Bye, Yum Yum.
So, anyways, guys, we will see you later. Have a great time. Check out the Wolf of Wok Street. Like I said, I picked up the book, and I'm so excited to start trying. I love those recipes, and I love playing around with them. So, and I cannot wait, guys. Pick it up. Check him out. Check out his Yum Yum sauce. It's
seasoning.
Dim Sim Lim, right?
DimSimLim.com.
And check him out. Like he's all over Instagram. His website's got tons of recipes. I was like going through that. You guys definitely want to check him out. And anyways, we'll talk to everybody later. And thanks again for joining us.